telling you a little bit about what he does as a writer. So, everybody please pay attention. I'm going to shut the lights off so you can see the projector stuff he has to share a little bit easier.
You're right, that is a short introduction. You guys are way too close. I'm joking, I'm Neal Parks, Kristen, Mrs. Parks' husband. I'll be talking today about the basic ways, topics, and setting on how to write a story. What will I discuss? The origins of the ghost story, beginning, middle, and ending, how to create a character and their background, their family, fears, friends, and personality, the setting, location, time, and history. I'm sure that Mrs. Parks has gone over that with you time and time again, right?
We've talked about setting.
Has it sunk in?
Hopefully. Okay, you're going to start by reading or telling me more about this?
Who am I? I have an identity crisis problem. I'm an author who researches paranormal phenomenon, and I write books on this topic and how the occurrences of this supernature affect people in the areas afflicted by these anomalies. My main focus is ghostly and spiritual encounters, haunted locations, and however, I do research UFO sightings, crop formations, and Bigfoot. 3 books I've written. The first one, Paranormal Chronicles, published in 2008. My second was Haunted Chillicothe, which of course is about Chillicothe. And my newest is Haunted Holidays, which I will read a piece from that in regards to the Majestic Theater. Are you all familiar with that?
No.
Majestic Theater is on 2nd Street. It's been here since the 1830s. It's always a part of the Ghost Walk. Have any of you ever been to the Ghost Walk?
Yes, it did.
The Chillicothe Ghost Walk? We have it every year. For the past 8 years we've had it. The historical Ghost Walk mystery and history downtown
Yeah, you get
tour.
to go into certain
You
buildings.
go through historical buildings here in town that are supposedly haunted, and you get to walk inside, see where the hauntings took place. You get to hear the history of the building.
Do we get to go to Elizabeth's grave?
No, that's way out of town. They would never. We don't have any kind of shuttle buses that take you out to Elizabeth's grave.
That's not scary.
And the roads back there are terrible. I recommend not going back there because there's potholes about this deep. I got my Sunfire stuck back there many years ago, and we had to have a tow truck come out and get us, and she was in tears, and it was a big mess. The story is Majestic Mystery. It was the evening of the Monster Movie Festival at the Majestic Theater in Chillicothe, Ohio. The date was the weekend before Halloween 1995, and I was ready for fun, food, and some great cheesy horror flicks. A few friends and I were in costume. I was dressed as Darth Vader from the Star Wars movie series. One of my friends was dressed like Jason from Friday the 13th, and my other friend was dressed like Zorro. The 3 of us, did you just say who's that?
Yeah.
You guys don't know Zorro?
Hey, we only have 25 minutes, so.
It's like saying you don't know Mickey Mouse. Zorro is like the Mexican Batman, basically.
No, he's like the Mexican Robin Hood.
He's like the Mexican Robin Hood, yes. The 3 of us couldn't wait to arrive at the Majestic and see what everyone else was wearing. There have been many stories relating to the history and alleged hauntings at the Majestic. I had so many stories passed on to me about this place and so many more since then. But tonight was a night that had nothing to do with ghost hunting or spook searching. We only came to the Majestic for the film festival. The night started off really well. Everyone was dressed in different costumes and ready for a really good time. After the first film, which, by the way, was Ed Wood's classic B-rated feature, Plan 9 from Outer Space, it was time for a bathroom break and some more popcorn. I walked through the lobby, passing a few other people who were enjoying themselves, and I headed towards the restroom area. The steps that led to the basement level went through a narrow hall that had a shorter ceiling than the height of an average person today. The restrooms were immediately to the left, at the bottom step of the basement level. I was the only person down there at the time, and the feeling left me with a sense of paranoia. The ghost stories that I had heard about this place put me in a panicky state of mind. I quickly shrugged it off and continued with what I was doing. I walked into the men's room and almost jumped out of my costume when directly in front of me was a janitor mopping the floor. I laughed to myself and said, "Whoa, sorry about that, sir. I almost ran right into you," I said to the energetic janitor as he continued to mop. He acted as if he was shackled to the task without as so much as a glance after my apologetic greeting. After a few minutes, the silence remained, and I proceeded to wash my hands. I noticed that the janitor was in the same spot, continuing to mop the same area without stopping. I attempted to strike up a conversation with him once more. while I washed my hands. "That must be the cleanest spot in the entire bathroom," I said to the janitor. He stopped what he was doing, looked up at me. His stare was vacant and lifeless. I felt an instant blast of cold as he looked intently right through me. I was thankful that I had already used the restroom at that point. Suddenly I noticed the janitor had been mopping the floor this entire time without a bucket, but the floor was soaked and glistened as brightly as a Mop and Glow advertisement. A shot of fear ran up my spine as the janitor quickly exited through the door to the right. I couldn't move at first. I felt as if my legs weighed a ton per leg. I forced myself to move forward so I could see where the janitor had headed and who he really was. I rushed back upstairs, and the janitor was nowhere to be seen on the staircase, or in the lobby for that matter. I stood next to the concession stand for what felt like 5 minutes before I realized that someone from somewhere was watching me. There were several people in the lobby, and another movie had started playing. I felt alone even though others, in fact, were surrounding me. I felt an unsettling urge to look upward. There he was, like a vulture perched above its prey. The janitor was directly above me on the balcony, staring at me as if he wanted me to leave. I continued to observe his movement and watch him with the utmost wariness. He quickly turned as sporadically as he had before. Then he walked down the walkway of the balcony and walked directly through a door at the end. He walked right through the door without even having to turn a doorknob. He simply vanished into the door, as if he had been swallowed up by some black hole. I moved so quickly that I felt as if I had been magically transported to the top of the stairs, and was heading to the end of the walkway where he had disappeared. It felt as if I had never even rushed up the stairs or ran through the walkway on my own. I made it to the door where I had last seen him and turned the doorknob. It was a janitor's closet. The closet had everything from mops, buckets, brooms, and vacuums to ladders and paint supplies. There was, of course, no sign of the ever-elusive janitor that I had encountered earlier. I closed the door and moved back from the entryway. It was then that I noticed the pictures along the walls of the walkway. They were old pictures that displayed the owners and the crew of the Majestic from years before. In one of the pictures, I saw the janitor. A small sign below the picture showed that it had been taken in the late 1940s. I had experienced my first haunting at this theater, but I doubted it would be my last.
Okay.
Chillicothe's haunted hotspots. Am I running over?
No, you're fine.
Of course, I mentioned the Majestic. That's the Ashley House to the top right. Do you know what the Ashley House is? It's on 104 right across from the VA hospital. 104 takes you out to the fairgrounds.
Oh,
It's 207.
It is.
RCI.
Yeah, it's past RCI.
This is the inside of the Canal House, which is right across from Trinity United Methodist Church and Sac and Save on Main Street.
Okay, I know what that is.
This used to be a stopping area for where the canal ran through town. When there were no roads, it was just all water channels. This was a stopping point for people to stop and rest. And that's the top floor of the men's shop on Payne Street. That used to be used as a ballroom for the military men from Camp Sherman. Before they would go off to war, they would bring their girls or their wives here to have ballroom dancing, and then they would be sent off to war. Majestic Theater investigation we did in March of 2009. This is me on the stage, and there's Mrs. Parks.
Oh.
You had
We
right
have-
here. It's right here.
We had several orbs on the stage. Now, orbs can be something as simple as dust particles or moisture droplets, but there's also energy orbs or spirit orbs. Now, these are in relationship to dust or moisture because they're semi-transparent and you can see rings or snowflake effects in the center of them, which completely counts it out as any kind of spirit or energy haze. For example, this and this, these are more dominant, and they have more of like a liquid form in the center, and they're solid mass. So that's some sort of energy orb or spirit orb. Same thing on the balcony up here. These are more what people get confused with, thinking they're spirit orbs or energy orbs. These are just random dust particles. Spirit orbs claiming the seat. I find it interesting that this solid mass,
Wait a minute, let me go back.
The boiler room scares
There you go.
This solid mass here is sitting right on the seat at the edge of the balcony, and so many people who've been here late at night rehearsing for plays and whatnot have claimed to see feet dangling off the edge of this balcony, or hearing people clap after they finish their lines right in this area. And this is the top of the ceiling, top of the roof of the Majestic, which I found interesting. There was a mass jumping from the building, so I just was being funny, but don't jump. And this is Blood Alley. I'm sure all of you, if you've heard of the Majestic, you've heard of Blood Alley. This is Mrs. Park's brother. This is Kevin Coleman, a local historian that works with my team. That's me with the silly headlamp on. And we're walking through getting readings from the equipment that we use right along Blood Alley. And this mass energy orb appears directly above Mrs. Park's brother as it's going off. As you can see, the light is highly active at this point, and there's something directly above him. And this is the mist in the boiler room. Everyone who goes into the boiler room experiences extreme blasts of heat, even though the boiler no longer works because it's an abandoned boiler. They have a new heating system now.
Don't most people die in a boiler room?
No.
No,
Boiler room's energy.
yeah, that's what
It's like
used to produce
heats
the
a
heat.
building.
Yeah.
I thought boiler room was
No.
Or
It
if you
doesn't
get a
boil you.
boiling pot.
It's not a place to boil you.
Yeah, that's the only place we went on a good spot.
Now this is what I call a dimensional crack. This looks almost like you're getting a glimpse into the other side. This is the 3rd floor of the Majestic. And Mrs. Park's sister-in-law was taking different shots. She took this, 5 seconds later took another one. And it changes direction, but it's still within the same area.
We go back.
I can't. You do it, Mrs.
Just
Park.
go on. It's
Anyway.
fine. You're not going to have enough time.
This is the phantom man who wanders the aisles. There's a lot of stories pertaining to the aisle where an older gentleman with a top hat will be seen walking down the aisle to the stage. And at one
And you
time
can-
the stage was completely level with the floor, but since then they put a different floor in. But this appears to be 2 solid masses, which I like to think maybe are his feet.
Yeah, it looks like
Walking
shoes to me.
through.
And this was taken in a completely dark auditorium, so there's no light source. So, kind of interesting.
And this is inside one of the dressing rooms. This picture was taken towards a mirror, and directly above the person taking the picture you can see a head, a collar folded over, and a white button-down shirt hovering above her.
That's a girl.
Yeah, that's a girl taking the picture.
And then that's an,
That's
some kind
directly
of
above
banner,
her in the
freaky
reflection.
van above.
This is creepy.
And this is the top of the balcony area again. This seat actually opened on its own and closed on its own. So I went over and one of my people took a picture of me looking at it.
That looks like a face right there.
This right here,
Yeah.
it does look like a face. Same thing here. Now what's
Looks
funny
like a
about
body.
the orbs that we captured in the Majestic, they all seem to be some sort of a weird, like polygon type symbol, which this used to be used by the Masonic Lodge, which is sort of a secret society. They use weird symbology like that, and octagons and polygons for their crests and their shields. And this is along the main walkway. You've got a strange wisp of something coming off of his jeans. And this is the reflection of the exit sign, which is up here. But then you have this strange pink mass here and a strange white foggy mass up there.
Why do you say mass?
A mass, like a mass of energy, or a mass of, like the orb itself is
A
a
blob.
spirit energy, or a what?
Mass means the same. It's like a blob
A blob.
of something.
And this is taken from the stage, from the point of view of the stage looking out at the crowd. And this is a solid blob, or could be spirit energy, or just some sort of an electrical impulse that modern science hasn't truly identified yet because of its speed.
Your last question's the end.
Here we are back in Blood Alley, same solid blob directly above Mrs. Park's brother's head. Once we're getting strange readings in there again.
He's a great dog. Maybe he just likes your brother.
Maybe.
This is something that I found particularly interesting because so many people, when they're taking pictures of what they think is a ghost or a spirit, you'll get a lot of movement of light like this, which a lot of